What's up, y'all? It's T-Tar. Today we're looking at more of y'all's theories for Pokemon in 2024. Let's go. Typing and BST of the original dragon. Okay, this is gonna get into the fun side of predicting how the original dragon will turn out. Hi, T-Tar. For a while, I was thinking what the base stats and typing of the original dragon might be. So he's listed some possibilities. I'll just show them on screen. We got 760 BST. I like this post because it's kind of realistic, right? So Kyurem's at what, like 660? Then when it fuses with Zekrom and Reshiram, it goes to just 700. I know, you would think, isn't it supposed to be like 1400 or something? You're supposed to imagine they just overall get better rather than combining their base stats. So the original dragon being 760 is kind of crazy. That's the highest natural Pokemon, including Ultra Necrozma. For typings, I have three possibilities. Dragon Fairy, a fully offensive Pokemon being Dragon Fairy would actually be terrifying. Wouldn't that be weird? We got Bolt Strike, Blue Flare, and Glaciate, but if you actually combine them back together, it's some kind of fairy move. It's also kind of funny making a Dragon Fairy because Fairy didn't exist when they were first making the original dragon, right? Back in Black and White days. So you could definitely tell they changed their mind if it turns out it's Fairy now. Okay, Dragon Fire Electric Ice. It's extremely unlikely, but if Pokemon ever decided to give just one Pokemon more than 2 typings, it would be kind of cool for the original dragon to have that. Oddly, this gives it like every weakness in the book. These don't even help against each other. And their last guess is Pure Dragon, but with an ability kind of like Delmize's Steelworker, where you get stabbed on steel moves without being steel. Maybe it gets stabbed on fire, electric, and ice. That's a really good guess too. Pure Dragon sounds like, if I were to look in Game Freak Studio back in like 2009, that's what they had planned for the original dragon. Pokemon Presents 2024? Stop! Yo, T-Tar, absolutely love your vids. I have a theory on when the next Pokemon Presents might be. Wait, the Pokemon Presents? No, Saga, this is February 27th. Back in 2020, we got a Pokemon Presents on January 11th, which revealed both the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra. And since Scarlet and Violet's Epilogue is releasing on January 11th, maybe we get a Pokemon Presents alongside it. This is actually not far-fetched. Okay, so you know how they do those like Nintendo Direct / Pokemon Directs where, you know, they announce something and then at the end of the Direct they say, speaking of which, this update is now live, you can play it now. How weird would it be if instead of waiting until Pokemon Day, that they actually give us some kind of teaser to hype up this new epilogue coming out, right? At this point, it's just gonna be like a shadow drop. It'd make more sense that some kind of video would have to come up for it. Okay, you know what? No, a couple thoughts here, right? So first off, by the way, this is not too uncommon. Back in X and Y's release, they announced it back in January as well. So they aren't new to announcing stuff in January too. But let's get our head as realistic as possible. So February would make the most sense because, you know, let's just wait until Pokemon Day, and also let's maximize the sales of the Indigo disc before we get people paying attention to a new game. And that's very valid. But at the same time, right, this is a DLC that just came out. Like if Scarlet and Violet itself just came out, then yeah, they'd probably wait a bit before announcing the next games. Evidenced by this is after X and Y came out in October, they waited until May, not Pokemon Day, but next May to announce Aura's remakes. And so since this is just a DLC, maybe they could use this epilogue alongside a new Direct to announce the next games as early as January 11th. All right, one more wrench I'm gonna throw in this, right? Maybe it won't be January 11th because the Indigo disc came out in December. So December 13th to January 11th is barely a month. So I think they would try to stretch their time all the way to February to at least maximize the DLC sales. If it came out in October or November, the DLC, then January could make sense. I'm being realistic for y'all. Okay, so those are the 2 dates we're gonna look out for. January 11th to see if they do anything alongside this epilogue announcement, and then February 27th. Swordward and Sh Swordward and Shilbert in Next Legends game. Hey T-Tar, loving these theory vids recently. I had this idea that at first it sounded stupid, but it has some interesting ideas for the plot. I'm gonna give you a chance with these goofs. So Ingo got transported through time and space into Hisui. I thought, what other characters would be somewhat tragically separate like him? So another duo is Swordward and Shieldbert. Bro, if we have another Legends game in Unova and freaking Swordward with his long flowing hair bouncing is somewhere in the past, it's even a bent sword now because he's hurt. He's traumatized. I thought what other characters would be somewhat tragically separated like him and his brother. Characters nobody thinks about much. Characters so rooted together, it would be nearly comical for them to be in separate games. You got Ben Swordward roaming around. So what they're trying to say in this theory is maybe Pokemon might repeat this, and characters that have duos, they might separate them just to create stories. Galar has been getting a lot of attention recently, especially when they gave Duraludon an apple in New Evolutions. Could you imagine you're 200 years in the past in a Legends Unova? And Swordward is hanging out at the local village bar with his bent sword. I mean, I guess it could be a redemption story for him, but I think they did turn over a new leaf at the end of the game, right? Bruh, I just looked up a photo of this dude. I can't with this man. Now I want this to happen. It's crazy because as annoying as his character was back in Sword and Shield, if something like this really happened, they'd probably give him a bunch of jokes and actually make him likable. The UK brought a lot of stuff to America, right? Imagine he's the one who informs Unova back in the day of certain things. And this leads to Unova inventing things based off stuff that are in Galar. It is far-fetched, but it's not totally impossible something like this could happen. Regarding Dragon Evolution and Penny. Hey T-Tar, I just saw your video about how we might get a Dragon Evolution this year. So they make a comment on how Penny's hair is colored. Penny's hair is colored red and blue, like how the dragon type is colored in some games. So I'm gonna have to make this bigger, but this is what the dragon icon looked like. It's pretty close to her hair colors. You gotta think how weird it is Penny actually has no new Pokemon on her team. I mean, she's the leader of Team Star. She's supposed to have this big build-up, you know, with Arven and his Mabostuff, Nemona's champion. It really seems like the missing puzzle piece to everything flowing perfectly for Penny is that she was supposed to have a new evolution on her team. She has this red and blue theme around her body. It's something that's not really answered. I could just be a stylistic choice. So one way to look at it is a hint towards the dragon type. We won't know nowadays. Or maybe you could look at it as a hint about Sword and Shield's colors, because she's from Galar. New evolution. Hey T-Tar, in your latest video, someone suggested that there may be a new evolution in the next games. So this post is based off the coincidence between the evolutions, that every evolution, all 8 of them, have something in common, which is that before Gen 4 came around, all the evolutions are from the special category of typings. Back then, moves weren't physical or special. Typings were. So fire, electric, ice, grass, all of these were special typings. So even if you used a physical, like Razor Leaf, it would always do special damage. So they're saying for this reason, it is safe to assume that Eevee will not evolve again into a new type like Rock, Dragon, or Flying because they aren't special types. So here's the thing. First off, I don't know if this is a coincidence by Pokemon's part. I mean, it's not like they ever referenced this once in the games. So it's not a rule that they can't break. And also, let's pretend Fairy existed before Gen 4, right? It would have been special too. There are 9 special typings, which are all the evolutions minus 1, which is Dragon. Dragon used to be special too. So even if somehow this coincidence continues, Dragon is still not off the list. Here's the split, by the way. So all of these were physical types, all of these were special, and then Fairy would have been 2. There's Dragon. You could be right though, maybe Game Freak intended in a weird way to make the evolutions like this. Anyhow, my dudes, make sure y'all shank that like button. 8 weeks still remain. It's gonna be a fast 8 weeks, y'all. Stay buckled up. It might sound slow, but we gonna be there tomorrow. So I'll see y'all later, either today or tomorrow. Take care.